Eastern's a good basketball team, and we do play well on the road. For some reason, we do. We get after it on the road. It's hard to win on the road.
Coach, I'm curious, after Thursday's disappointing loss, coming back the way they played Saturday, what did you learn about the team?
Well, I told them in the locker room after the game that I told them that Lindenwood was playing well. Don't look at their record, that they were playing well, and give them credit. They came here, they got a win. I thought they really shot the lights out of the basketball. That's not how they usually shoot the basketball. And I just told them we're still playing for something. We're still playing for first place and second place to get a double bye. If you can get a double bye, that's big. It really is.
Well, that's what I was going to ask if you could touch just on how important that double bye is and how much these last couple of games mean for being able to be in good position for the conference tournament.
Well, if you can get a double bye, you can get some rest while other teams are playing and grinding it out. Most of these games are late games, 8, 9 o'clock at night with a quick turnaround and really no time for a shoot around. I think they give you 25 minutes or 30 minutes for a shoot around, which is a waste of time. So at the end of the day, we've had a tough schedule this year. We've been on the road a lot. We've won games on the road. At the end of the day, we're playing good basketball at the right time.
I just have one for players where just, the last couple, 2 or 3 games got to the slow starts where you've been facing these double figure deficits. So just, I guess either one of you guys, what's the key to kind of getting off to a better start, in these last 2 games?
Just coming out with more energy, really. Everybody, because like Coach said, everything game 7 now, so just got to come out and be prepared. And we ain't gonna have as many. We shouldn't have them many slow starts because it's coming to the end of the season. We need to win every game going on.
Everything's a game 7 right now. Everything's a game 7. Every game, starting with Eastern.
Anybody else?
You guys good?
Nobody else?
We're coming down to the last week of conference. We're in good shape. We got a chance to finish in 3rd place all the way to 5th place with those last 2 conference games. So these are 2 big road games for us. Definitely, would love to get the 3rd place finish where we get a bye into the semifinals, and then if our 3rd and 4th, either one of those we get the single bye into the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals, and that would be a lot bigger than if you finish 5th, then you got to win 4 games in 4 days, and so it makes a big difference there. And it can be done. I mean, it's something that I've seen several teams do, but you try not to put yourself in that situation. You try to be ready, and there's no doubt that as the seasons went on in the conference that this team can beat anybody in the conference. I mean, we've lost to a couple of the top teams by buzzer beaters and coming down to the very end. So there's no team in this conference we can't beat. But I also told the young lady there's no team in this conference that can't beat us. That's how close it is. So we got to be on track as we go into this conference tournament, and I think we are. I think we're on our way to playing our best basketball, and we got to be ready.
Coach, talk about the tournament a little bit more. I know you want that bye, and obviously be a big help. If that doesn't happen, worst case scenario, how are you feeling right now in terms of your bench depth, having to play so many games back to back?
Yeah, I mean that's something that comes into play, but there's also positives to playing. I mean, once you get that first win, you're played on that, you're used to playing on that floor. And then you come out, and if you get that second win, you got another game under your belt, and sometimes that can be an advantage. The teams that are getting the byes, they're sitting over there waiting, and they hadn't been out on that floor yet. And so we've been in that situation. I've been here 15 years. We've been in different. So you take it as it comes as far as what you got to do, but there's some advantages and disadvantages both ways.
Sure, it feels like the last few weeks you've really stepped up just from a scoring and being aggressive perspective. Talk about maybe how your role has changed and evolved this season.
We lost a couple hard, tough games, and in those games I feel like I didn't have the best offensive performance from the free throw line or field goal percentage wise. Had I been able to score more, I feel like then we would have been able to knock down a couple more of those higher teams that's above us. So I just know that I have to play better as a starting point guard. I have to be able to produce and be able to get my teammates going. And that's been my mentality lately, just win, win, win. So.
Let's Coach, how have you seen her kind of grow on that side of the floor?
Yeah, I mean, you can see her, last year Shug played a different role, for our team, more of an off guard, and she's had to adjust a lot this year, but, she's definitely coming into her own here at the end, being a lot more aggressive scoring, and then also making plays for other people. I mean, there's got to be a balance there, and I think she's sort of figuring that out, that, she can be able to, create for herself, and then also then when they start really looking at her and recognizing that, hey, we got to stop this, this girl, and then she's able to create for other people. And so that's been really helpful to us here coming down the stretch.
You kind of touched on the margins, how close it is between all the teams. And we saw it in the first Illinois game, obviously, Emerald kind of blew the buggy at the last second there to, that could make it.
Macy, it was Macy, I think, yeah.
But I mean, that type of play, as you can see now with the standings, that can make a huge swing. So how important is it this last week, kind of benching that loss and picking up the next 2 games going into the tournament? And then kind of the same thing as Coach Walker as well, just, with kind of being on the road the rest of the way, just how's your team prepared to kind of for that journey?
Okay, but you can look back at all the games and a single play here or there, would have made a difference, and, wins. I think out of our 18 conference game, there was 15 of them that came down to the last minute. And we won some of them, we lost some of them. So that's a lot of games, when you're coming down to the last minute of the game, and it can go either way. So going, to answer your question, going into these last 2 road games, I think we got to continue to do what we can do, do what we can do best. We got to, we're scoring a lot better than we were earlier in the year. We're putting up some pretty good points. So, as long as we can shore up our defense and really lock in and start, playing Little Rock defense like we know we can, I think we'll have a good shot at these 2 road games, and then of course going into the tournament.
Coach Scott, you guys in the past, it's all about peaking, getting ready to March. Are you seeing that with this team, peaking and playing your best here in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, and I think you always look at it as a coach, are you healthy? You got everybody, available, and right now we are. I mean, we've had, times during the year we had 1 or 2 out, you got an injury here or there, and we're healthy. Coming into these last 2 road games, I feel really confident that offensively we're playing as well as we played all year. So that's a good feeling. And shooting the basketball, I think our last game and I don't know how long it's been, but we shot over 60% from the field in our last game. And when you do that, you're shooting the ball really well.
Jordan, for you, last couple weeks, all on the road, it kind of feels like this is a basketball player's dream, just to go out and play basketball back against the wall. What's the mentality like for you? Do you love these kind of stretches?
Yes, I just try to have fun, enjoy my last year. I don't mind playing basketball.
Is there any added pressure now that last year is coming to an end, that you want to keep this going as long as possible?
No, I don't think it's no added pressure. Playoffs are my favorite time of the year. I don't think it's no added pressure really.
Kind of following up on that, for the players, we all were both up there in Evansville last year. A lot of the players, were returning over to part of that group. So what does that mean for your confidence already? How does it feel just kind of have a veteran group going back to Evansville, where you guys made the semis last year, and now you're going to take that next step?
You said what does it do for our confidence level?
Yeah, just like I said, just kind of having that experience coming back.
Yeah, I'm very confident in my team. Everybody, we went up against everybody this year, and I feel like there's nobody we can't beat. So I'm pretty confident that if we come out and play our best basketball and play as a team like we know we can, play some defense, I think we can win the whole thing. So it's really no pressure. Just come out and do what we do, and I'm confident that we'll be able to pull it off.
About the season so far, and a little bit of a season preview.
Yeah, so obviously we are halfway through our spring season. Golf has 2. We have 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring. heading back and looking back to last year, a lot of people know last year was a history-making year for the women's golf team, right? One of a kind. We won conference for the first time since 1999. We made NCAA regionals for the first time ever. So looking forward, you know, as a coach, we've done great. At this point, we are 45 spots better off in the rankings than we were at this point last year. So that's definitely something positive to work on. You know, I have a catcher right here who's one of my seniors, was part of the OVC winning team last year, and Allie is one of my freshmen who's come in and made an impact on the team. But we're halfway through. We started off at a UNCG event in Florida in February, finished second to Virginia Tech, which was great. They're a top 30 team in the country. We played last week in Mississippi. The girls are excited right now. We fly out to Puerto Rico on Saturday to compete against teams from all over the country, which, if you look at them, they're beach girls, so they're going to have a great time with a great tournament against some great competitors. But we're a kind of little bit of a different standing, right? Our main goal this year is to win the OVC again, to get the automatic bid back to the NCAA regionals, to keep making history, because we did it the first time last year. So obviously to repeat that and go for year 2 would be great. But that's pretty much a rundown.
Well, Coach, that's wanted to ask, like, what is sort of the next step after you make history? You know, last year, how do you what is the next step for this program in your opinion?
So, you know, I think going into the OVC championship, our number one main competitor is Morehead State. I think that's very obvious when you look at stroke averages and rankings. And we went in last year being that we want to win OVC. Winning the OVC is the first step. So going into OVC this year is going to be how much can we win by, right? We've faced Morehead twice this year, once in the fall and once 3 weeks ago, and we've got them both times. But I think for the girls, we want to, you know, achieve the goal of going in and beating them by how much we can. Making the NCAAs is history every year, especially for this program, especially for the team and the players, and as a coach. You know, we went into the regionals last year, we were a little nervous. I'm returning 4 of the 5 that played, so we have a lot of the returning team, which is great. The nerves definitely affected performance last year. I think as a coach, I kind of expected that going into day 1. So I think going back, I'm going to say it, but once we win OVC, when we go back to the NCAA regionals, is not to have them nerves affect us as much, and you know, and try and advance to nationals this year.
Well, that's for you as one of the returning players from that team. What do you feel like is the difference maybe this year, having kind of been there, done that at this point?
Yeah, like Coach said, we've been there, we've done that, but the nerves definitely were there, and now we're more experienced, we know what's going on, we know that we're capable of playing good golf. We just need to stick together as a team, push each other what we do on a daily basis, and then we know that we can win conference and head to regionals and make a few more spots compared to last year.
That's on the flip side for you as a freshman coming in. What has it been like to have, you know, like you said, 4 of the 5 returners back from last year's regional team, to have that group of experienced people to kind of lean on?
So that's actually pretty nice. They're very supporting and keeps on reminding that hard work is what's going to take us to regionals. And then coach, of course, which is pretty nice. We just keep on working every day and remind that we should not go in and think that we can beat more. It's that easy. Just going with a pretty chill feeling and then just take it from there.
Well, you know, college golf, you really got a lot of players from kind of all over the world, so just,
Yeah.
you know, kind of having the program get elevated like that a year ago, and now kind of there's a little bit more notoriety, and kind of you're a little bit more well known. Have you noticed a difference, kind of just the perception of the program and kind of how you're viewed kind of outside of the Little Rock area?
Yeah, no, it definitely has changed, and you know, this is definitely a conversation I had with another coach at the last tournament we played at, right? When I took over the program 6 years ago, they were ranked 236. We're now ranked in the top 115. To me, I know the hard work these girls have put in, and you know, I always give credit to them. And for me to have other coaches recognize it, you know, Florida, we had a bad first round, and then we shot under par the last 2 days. And, you know, to have coaches being like, we knew you guys were going to come back and start moving up that leaderboard. And with that comes the recruits, right? We're getting that next standard of player. They see that they come in as a freshman and they get better by the time they're a senior. And as a coach, or if you're an athlete, I think everyone in this room knows, like, that's the goal, right? To get better. You want to stay competitive, and you want to develop, and I think that's just going to continue pushing the golf team in a better direction.
Anybody else? Thank you, ladies. Season they're gonna have this year. Whenever you're ready, Coach.
How's it going? Thanks for being here. We've had a pretty good season so far. We played 5 times in the fall. We won our home event and beat South Carolina in that event, who's number 15 in the country right now. So we had a number of other good finishes, and then we just got back last week. We just started our spring in California in a really good tournament. 11 of the 24 teams are in the top 50. 18 of the teams were in the top 100, and we finished 4th, which was good. We beat number 6 North Carolina there last week and number 17 Pepperdine, so we had a really good start to the spring. The guys have, you know, played tournaments over winter and stayed sharp and everything. Mateo went and played Q School for a European tour back in November and got status through that. And then Archie and some of the other guys that go back home to Europe, because we're pretty international, just, you know, stayed sharp and worked on their games all winter. And, you know, I think we have a really good team right now. We're ranked 42nd in the country. The new ranking comes out tomorrow. We'll move into the 30s for our play last week. So, you know, the biggest thing for us is we're good enough to make nationals on our ranking alone, and that's been kind of one of our goals this year, is to, you know, do that without having to win conference to make it there, right? So we're on that trajectory right now. So it's just trying to continue that the rest of the spring. We've got 4 more events this spring before conference. So just trying to continue what we're doing and playing some good golf.
Where do you need to get to? I have to rely on the automatic qualification.
Yeah, the cutoff's usually 60 to 65 in the country. So we're about to be, tomorrow we'll move into the 30s somewhere. So right now, obviously, we're pretty far inside that number. So, you know, it's just continuing to do what we've been doing. You know, we've done a really good job of that this year compared to last year. So, but right now, we're pretty far inside that number.
So help you guys at the conference tournament relax a little bit and know that their postseason doesn't depend on this?
I think so, yeah, a little bit. I know when I played, we were in that similar situation, like just on my experience, and it helped a little bit, you know, but at the same time, you know, we have a really good team, and, you know, we should win conference as well on top of that. So, but I think it, yeah, I mean, it naturally can make you feel a little bit better at conference for sure.
Archie, can you talk a little bit more about the degree of competition you faced so far this year? You've gone up against some good programs. Just talk a little bit about how that makes you and your teammates better at what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're going up against the best players in the country week in, week out, it can, and you prove to yourself that you can compete with them every time you play, is only good. It boosts everyone's confidence on the team, which then when we come back home and we're playing against each other, we know that we're also competing against the best players in the country. So I think that just makes you progress so much each day, just by knowing that fact that you're competing with the best, and then that added confidence just elevates your performance even more.
Coach, can you just kind of expand on the kind of the conference outlook and just kind of just the overview of the conferences here?
Yeah, for sure. Conference is in Cape Girardeau at Dalhousie Golf Club. Our tournament's a little different. We do 3 rounds of stroke play, and then it goes to match play. So we play 3 rounds of stroke play, then the low 4 teams make match play, and then there's 2 rounds of match play for the championship. You know, right now, based on rankings, we're the best team. You know, so it's just going there and doing our thing and playing our style of golf and getting it done. You know, Archie won conference last year, the stroke play portion. Mateo played really well. They were both all conference. We have one other guy on the team that was on the team last year. He was all conference as well. And then we have 2 freshmen that'll be in the lineup most likely. And you know, they're battling it out for freshman of the year and things like that. So, and then everybody on the team is battling it out for player of the year. So, you know, it's a really competitive environment, just trying to, all these guys push each other, which they've been doing.
Let's Mateo, if you could talk a little bit just about being able to play against some of the best players in the country on your own team every day at practice.
Yeah, that's a huge privilege. Every time we show up to a tournament or a practice, we always try to push ourselves and to get better, and that's pretty much what we do every day. No matter if it's a practice or a tournament, just show up, try to push ourselves, and try to improve our goal.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, with the draw for I mean, you guys kind of built this program up, so where's, how have you been able to get these level of players to come to Little Rock?
Yeah, I think the coach, this is my second year here. The coach that was before me did a really good job. You know, really since COVID, the program as a whole is kind of elevated for sure since COVID. You know, there's different things that have definitely helped that to be possible. You know, the support we have of the community and donors and things like that has really taken off in the last 5 years. And then the plays just kind of continued to do better each year. I mean, when Archie and them first got here and winning the Sun Belt, and then, you know, winning the OVCs a few years ago, and then it's kind of just, everything is kind of elevated. We have really good golf courses here in Little Rock that we play. That's a big boost to recruiting. And then the schedule that we play is one of the top mid-major schedules in the country. So the two of those things is what attracts good players, really. I mean, they care about where we're going to play tournaments and where we're practicing every day. So those two things have just really helped the team continue to do well. And then, you know, I think the biggest thing I've seen is I believe in the guys, but the play that we've done so far this year, you know, they're really starting to believe how good they are as well, because they're seeing the results and seeing the teams we're beating, and that type of stuff helps, especially at the end of the year when we go to regionals and top 5 teams make it out. At least, you know, we've been beating these teams during the year, so, you know, it's no different than any of the other tournaments we've been playing.
Thanks, guys. Championships in the NCAA. You can start off with an opening statement if you want to, Coach.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys. How many of you guys been to wrestling matches in your life? All right. We got to get you. I know you're new, but we got to get you to the wrestling matches. Where are you from?
Originally from Kansas.
Okay, where at?
Wichita.
Okay, I grew up in DeSoto, so down the road.
Perfect, yeah.
So, plenty of wrestling there.
Just talk a little bit about, as you're going into this part of the season, what you're expecting from the other teams, other programs, and just what your message has been this week about getting ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, coming off back-to-back regular season championships is always a high moment, but I think that my team's very mature right now. We're just watching them train, watching them get ready for competition. It's been very encouraging seeing them show up day in and day out, take care of business, but also, regardless of the situation, they've been the same. And I think the message to my team is very much, there's a few things that have made us for a long time, and we have to be very consistent in that. And I think being very dialed into the things that make us great wrestlers, and that's, you know, a lot of part of our life, is really going to make us successful. I think we're going to get, you know, we kind of, just candidly, we kind of whooped up on the other teams in the conference. So I would expect this is going to be a tough conference tournament. They're coming for blood a little bit, and we're kind of the ones right now that have the target on our back. And so wrestling from that position just requires some extra effort, some extra, you know, mental focus and staying in position and executing when it's time to execute. And I think if we do those things, that we're going to be successful. And, you know, I see a path for us to potentially go as high as send 8 guys to the NCAA tournament if we do that.
That's how much different is it this year compared to last year, where last year y'all kind of upstart moving up, whereas now you're definitely the clear favorites going into the tournament?
Well, I think we've been very, very good at being level-headed about the whole situation. I think it would have been easy for us to follow the hype but I try to remind them daily that you know, our daily self-discipline is what's gotten us here, our daily choices, which created our habits, and we've stood up to every single test that's come our way. We've wrestled the number 2, you know, top 2 teams in the country in a dual meet, and we wrestled tough, and you know, we had a path to victory in one of those matches, and that's more than what most programs across the country can say. So we've been battle tested, we've been in the fire against the guys that are going to be competing to win nationals, and I just think that we just continue to do what we do on a daily basis, and I think the success will happen.
How cool was it for you to be able to say the target's on us instead of the other way around?
Say that again?
I heard you say that, you know, the target's on us.
Oh, yeah.
You got the target on our chest. How cool was that for you to be able to say that?
It's pretty stinking cool, because it felt like for a long time the only target was our teeth getting kicked in by everybody else, and so to see the progress and the work, and you know, it's not just the guys. Like you're a great coach because you have great athletes. I stole that from Coach Curry, and you also have great people around you. You know, like Kaylee here. Kaylee's been here since day one. Our athletic trainer's been here since day one. You know, Coach Hobby's been here with me since day one, and to say that we have a target on our back was it's a proud thing. It's not a arrogance thing. We know what it took to get to this point, and this is what we wanted, and we're embracing it, and we're excited about it.
Not to go too far back, I know you're before, but can you kind of just touch a little bit on the West Coast trip, the recent trip, and kind of how you're defining, you know, 3 wins out there?
Yeah, so we finished up conference on a nice little California swing. Wrestled Cal Poly, which we wrestled them at national duels, and it was, I mean, we found ourselves in a pickle. We were down big time and had to come back and win, had to get, you know, bonus points to even give ourselves a shot, and so we were expecting, you know, a tough match, and it was really good to see my guys separate themselves. When you get to the end of the year and you've seen consistency and then you start to see separation, it's a good sign that you're going in the right direction. So we were able to take it to Cal Poly, and then Bakersfield, we kind of did what we expected we were going to do there, show up and whoop them, and that was the goal. It was a great trip to end. I just think it was a tough trip. It's tough when you travel that far and you're cutting weight, but I really was impressed with how the guys handled themselves on that trip, and it was crazy travel. Flew into one place, drove 3 hours, made weight, wrestled, drove another 3 hours, you know, made weight, wrestled, drove another 3 hours back to the airport. And it was a tough situation, and to see your team excel through, you know, real adversity that my guys face when you cut weight and traveling, that's a hard thing on a person's body, and to watch them compete that way really showed me that they're ready.
All right, going back to the West Coast again now for Pac-12.
Yeah.
The Acorn also had Oregon State here last month. When I go, you know, on their home, their host team, so it's their home turf for the you know, for the conference tournament, and then obviously no Arizona State this year. Is Oregon State, is that kind of, you look at them as kind of the chief rival for you coming up, or is it, you don't look at it that way versus kind of, you mentioned Cal Poly as well, just kind of the landscape for the tournament?
Yeah, well, the landscape for the tournament is it's Oregon State's definitely the one that I think that is coming after us, and I mean obviously other teams are, but I think they're the one we're going to have to beat. But it's a unique situation. It's going to come down to seeding, and it's going to come down to, you know, you have 4 teams left in the conference until we add more with the Pac-12, you know, moving. So it's a tricky thing to be able to predict. The way I'm really looking at it is we got 2 dual meets. When we go win 2 dual meets, we'll win the conference. And it doesn't matter who's in front of us. It's us versus them. It's us versus, you know, the other 3 teams. And I think that as long as we do what we're supposed to, and we show up and we compete hard and be consistent, I think we'll come out successful, and we'll walk away with the tournament championship.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, I'll kick it off. First of all, thanks. I appreciate Nate Olson for putting this together, and thank you all for being here and covering these student athletes, they work really hard, and I think this is the first time we've done this, and this is really special. And so thanks for taking your time out. We're 10 days into the baseball season, and we've learned a lot already about our clubs. Had a great opening weekend against Evansville, a super regional team, and got snowed out last Tuesday. Going to Memphis, we'll make that one up next Tuesday on the other side of the Jonesboro game, and took our team down to South Louisiana, Thibodaux, about an hour below New Orleans, and one of the hardest places in college baseball to play, but very disappointed in the outcome. Went 0-3 down there, but learned a lot about our club, especially playing very close games, and a lot of new guys in that environment. The fans before and after the game are really welcoming, and during the game they're not, and we need to get used to those environments. And it was a toughness weekend, and really a gut check early, which I think is good in February. You want to get those things out of the way before you go into conference play. Bounced back very nicely last night at Monroe. The key so far early on, and I thought it would be like this, and it's held true, is our pitching. It's been outstanding. Jackson Wells and the rest of the staff, he's got 2 quality starts. All 3 starters have 2 quality starts under their belts, and we're going to lean on the pitching and the defense, which has been surprisingly better than I thought we would be early. And the reason I thought the defense would take a little time is the position player side, with 7, sometimes 8, depending on who we play in the lineup, new hitters to Division I. Early on, they're battling, and while they figure themselves out at the plate and how to be an offense, the pitchers are doing an outstanding job of really holding down the fort and giving us a chance to win every single ball game, every single game. And last night, the pitchers put us on our back. Malcolm Brown, 3 innings of no-hit ball. Of course, the question is, why'd you take him out? He had a no-hitter, but he was on 1 day's rest, and it's early in the year, and the plan, no matter how he pitched, was to use our bullpen coming off of the long weekend, and handed it to Gage Haley, a Mississippi State transfer, and he was really good for 2 1/3. And then the story of the night was Preston Davis, which is a great story. He started as a true freshman on the weekends. I remember he went 7 innings on the road at Troy as a true freshman. Been out for the last 2 years, battling shoulder and other things. And last night was his welcome back. And I think he went 3 innings, had 7 strikeouts, 91-94. And boy, if we can solidify Preston Davis coming out of the pen, being that stopper, kind of reminded me of shades of Jacob Weatherly, where you weren't really waiting to the 9th inning to get Jacob the ball. It was whenever you thought the moment of the game was at hand. And so more of a stopper, and he put us on his back and took us home. There was some confusion on how the game ended. So to clarify, but they had bases loaded. They had the go-ahead tying run on base. It's 3-2 count, and the hitter swung at Preston's pitch, and it actually hit him, which is a dead ball. And originally, the home plate umpire called dead ball hit by pitch. We appealed to the field umpire, and he had a check swing strike 3, which makes the ball dead in the ball game. And so that was very interesting. And finally, we felt like we got a call in Louisiana, and came home and salvaged that road trip. But it doesn't get any easier. Tomorrow, got Memphis coming to town, and then Murray State this weekend. Very tough ball club. And then we'll go for a little 2-day road trip to Jonesboro, and then Memphis, and then back home against Belmont. But really like this team. We're going to have to be patient as we figure out offensively our identity, and Ryan Gex leading the way so far in the 4-hole. We gave him a green light last night, and he drove in a run to add some insurance. And so overall, I've been very pleased with the effort and the intensity and the fight of our club.
Coach, you mentioned the pitching part earlier, but in general, for a lot of programs, this is the time of year where you start to see who you have, what you're working with. Going into this, are there still areas heading into conference weekends that are still open for evaluation, or do you feel like you're pretty happy with what you got?
Absolutely. Our intent is to win every single ball game, and we manage and coach that way. However, we have to answer questions on our roster. We have to find out about matchups, who can handle left-handed pitching, right-handed pitching, who can come off the bench and get us a pinch hit. That's difficult to do. who can come off the bench and be a good defender, who can steal a base. And so you'll give opportunities to different players, and maybe it goes good, maybe it doesn't. But you have to answer all those questions, and you have to understand your roster and what you have and who you have and where they best fit in the roles. And sometimes you got to try and experiment, and it doesn't work. Sometimes it does, so that we can be locked in for weekend number 1 of conference play at Tennessee Tech at home.
Jackson, you go from being a nation ERA leader, then last year I know it didn't go the way that you had hoped it would, but to start the season with back-to-back quality starts, just from a confidence standpoint and getting back into the rhythm, how do you feel at this point in the year?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great. Quality starts doesn't necessarily mean you're completely happy with it, but anytime you can go out there and give your team a chance to win, I mean, that's really all you can ask for from a consistency standpoint. I think last year was a big growth year for me, just how to deal with pressure and just handle it better mentally.
Coach, just guys about the schedule, and obviously you had the weather, you had a couple double headers, games get moved around. So, and at the same time, you mentioned kind of figuring out roles for the new guys. So just kind of how have those dynamics gone? Just playing, now we're playing almost every day for the next week or two, trying to make up those games. So just kind of talk about those dynamics.
It's a great question. I thought about that this morning. This team needs to play. We need to play. We need to play a lot, get at bats under our belts, and see all different kinds of environments. We've thrown them in the fire. We know that. That was intentional. We know that the first 20 games are going to be difficult. It's a Sun Belt, Missouri Valley, WAC going to UTA, and then a little bit of SEC in there, first 20 games. And so they'll need to grow up fast, but that's what we wanted, and that's how we plan it. That mirrors last year, what we did to get ready for conference play. The weather, everybody battles it. It's part of it. Last night we saw our breath, and then the fog rolled in. Today, tomorrow, it's 74 and sunny, which I think the California guys will like. But you got to be able to handle all that. Doubleheader, tournament play, you may have your back against the wall, and you need to go win a game, doubleheader-wise. And these guys have to understand how to get themselves prepared and ready. And then if it doesn't go your way, 40 minutes later, there's another game, and you got to get yourself off the mat. If it does go your way, you can't feel good about it. You've got to flush it and go in the next one. And so as many situations that we can put them in, that they can be put into, travel on the road, tough environment, we want to see them. And our intention is to go undefeated. That's not realistic in baseball. But the more situations we've been in, the better. We don't want to play a schedule that at the end of the preseason, we don't know anything about ourselves. That can be fool's gold. You can think you're pretty good, and then somebody rolls into town that is really good, and they pop you, and now you lose your confidence, and you start to look around and say, hey, are we for real? And when you've been through some things, that makes you tougher.
Ryan, Coach called this a gut check weekend for you guys. What do you feel like you learned about your team, about your teammates on the road in Nichols this week?
I think I learned mostly positive things. I learned that we are able to fight back and not just lay down when we're down in the game. And I think that we actually learned some good things this weekend, even though it wasn't the result that we had hoped for.
For you to have a hot start at the plate in your first year, just how good does that feel to come out swinging the way you have?
It feels good, but I'm just gonna stick to my approach and try to keep it rolling. That's it.
You guys are kind of going into that leadership role now, like I said, on the 4-hole, kind of just you kind of being relied off the offense now.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I've always been a leader on every team that I've been on, so it's not anything that's super new to me, though. Yeah.
Ryan brings a calming presence. It's a very California feel. You walk by him in the dugout every night, every in a big moment, he'll be singing a song to himself. His game is intense, but it's relaxed. And I can see he's playing at first. He's a huge target. All the infielders have to do is get anywhere close. He made a great play on a bunt where he came up, fielded it through to third, and he's a calming confidence over there, and just relaxing. And it's been good to see him plug in immediately and have a veteran leadership presence on our team. All right, thanks, guys.